Hi guys. So I just wanted to take this time to discuss what I've learned about being male or female and the types of differences that there are between sex and gender. So as far as I've learned, I have seen that up to this point, I just found out some new things, but up to this point, I've always thought that gender is the social construct part, the social construct part of being male or female or in between and or intersex and or non I think it would be non-binary in the terms of gender, but if it comes to sex, it would be male or female, or in between would be non or sorry, it would be intersex. So there are some things that are pretty easy to understand and that I've understood for a while. Like even before I even knew trans people existed. You could tell that like things like uh the color blue being for boys, the color pink being for girls, like that was pretty easy to tell that it was socially constructed. Like it wasn't anything that was biological or anything that was, had any basis in science. So when I found out but there's more gender, and we do usually classify it in male and female. And what I found out, my cat really wants my attention. What I found out is there's three parts, as far as I'm aware, to gender, and it is gender role, gender presentation, and gender identity. I think those are pretty self-explanatory. I don't think I need to explain them. Um, what I so those all are all things that you can. It's pretty easy to know that those things are up to yourself and up to the community to kind of decide to see how you fit into the categories of male female, the binary, and I personally like to look at it as a spectrum. So you can fit somewhere within the spectrum, with there being extremes, and there also being in between the extremes, and they're a middle. So I don't think you have to be in the middle to be non-binary, but I think you are more likely to be. I think everybody's probably gonna be somewhere in the middle. But even if you are, somebody like me, when you do categories like gay or trans or tomboy, things like that, I think you're just kind of in between the spectrum of two extremes of male and female in the terms of gender, in the terms of you know social roles, presentation, and identity. So yeah, but I don't think you need to, like, even if you are in between them, that doesn't mean you're non-binary, because I think I'm a pretty feminine guy, as in I have a lot of characteristics. Wow, my cats. I have a lot of characteristics that I think people might consider to be characteristics of somebody they would consider female, which I don't think it makes me a woman, but I do think it makes me, not on that extreme spectrum of masculinity. So that being said, that basically means that my gender identity is male, and that means anybody can identify as a gender identity regardless of sex. So, what is sex? So, sex I've always viewed as like the physical aspect, and before, like, a couple days ago when I found out what sex is, I have I've always viewed as sex as basically, you have a penis or you have a vagina. But it turns out that sex is actually, because sex is categorized as male or female and intersex sometimes. Um, but when it comes to being male or female, there's actually five criterion that would make either male or female, and that would be genitals, penis, vagina, hormones, estrogen, androgen, which everybody has both of, but males tend to have higher androgen. Wow. 1 second. Anyway, both male and female have androgen and estrogen. It's just that males tend to have higher androgen and females tend to have higher estrogen. Next is chromosomes. We all know XY, XX, male, female. Secondary sex characteristics, which are like breasts, facial hair, deeper voice, and then gonads, which would be ovaries or testes. And these 5 categories, I'll have a classification for male or female. That means that all these things can act independently, and they tend to act one way or another. Like it's a tendency. But when you start classifying it as male or female, that starts making it a social construction. So I don't think sex itself is a social construct, but I do think that when you assign male to XX, or I'm sorry, male to XY, that is a social construct because when they ask you on a questionnaire, they ask gender and sex, and if you say M or F, if you say M or F, you make a guess. You make a classification on these 5 characteristics on whether or not you have genitals, hormone, or which genital you have, which is your predominant hormones, what are your chromosomes, what are your secondary sex characteristics, and which gonads do you have. So it is. I don't think sex itself is a social construct, but I think when you assign it to male or female, it would be a social construct. My cat's sneaking up. I don't know if you'll be able to see him. Anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to, make a record of what I felt was, or what I have learned is the differences between sex and gender. And if you wanted to add anything on, disagree with me, tell me what you think of my cats. Feel free to leave a comment. All right, have a good night. See ya.